Alright everybody, welcome to the video. This is the Law Bandito. And what we have here is our very first draft league. It's not my first draft league in the first place, but this is our first draft league on the channel. So what we're playing is one of my close friends, Will, Mackie, Muffin, and all the other friends that I have over there. They're hosting up the CDC, or the Cosmopolitan Drafting Championship. And basically, I'm running with one of my a logo called the Memphis Grizzlies. Well, we do the change, but so what we have here is Sneasler as our first Pokemon, our very first pick. Funnily enough, this is the second pick from last season that I did, and basically I built around that with Iron Bundle. But Sneasler lost his ability to do Terra since this is not a 2-type Terra for one Pokemon. So what we're gonna do, well, it has coverage in that, it has toxic spikes, it could be a bandit, it could be unburdened, which is probably my best ability with it, and something along the lines where I can definitely dominate with this Pokemon if somebody isn't gonna run it very carefully. So yeah, let's say Sneasler is probably my favorite Pokemon in draft so far in Gen 9. But yeah. So we move on to Manaphy. Manaphy's always been one of my favorite Pokemon in Gen 6. Gen 6 is always a good Pokemon with it. Manaphy having not only Tail Glow, but Take Heart, and using that with Acid Armor and Store Power makes this absolutely busted. Having Iger get the Fione in one of the rounds and stuff was pretty much a heavy steal for 1 point. Having Take Heart, having Acid Armor and stuff, I really do think Iger can dominate with this thing. Well, this is my draft, my fun, my breakdown. But yeah, rather than that, we have Skeledirge. Skeledirge is probably the Pokemon I really wanted to try out the most, since Skeledirge is very bulky, even with or without Terra, or even without heavy duty boots. It's a very good powerful wall with good defense, having Unaware, and it could really save you in multiple matchups. You know, even from a setup sweeper. Sure, Ogerpaw and Heartflame could be a major threat since it has Mold Breaker, but it could definitely resist its stabs and go for a Torch Song, giving it a specific, special attack raise, so it can definitely kill off some many potential threats. But yes, we got it's a mainly defensive team. We have Ting Lu. Ting Lu has potentially the best hazards in the game. Well, best hazards in the entire, draft league, most likely. Because, rather than Gliscor, Gliscor completely outclasses it. But rather than no recovery or whatever, but Ting Lu has probably the bulkiest set, and it's probably a great bulky ground type, here to wall up any potential bulky psychic types or whatever that can do with it. But other than that, great hazards, has ways to phase out setup sweepers and stuff, and a great Pokemon to use in a safety, reliable, defensive, niche. So then we get to Hisuian Goodra. Probably a Pokemon I didn't expect on using, but it could do really good things with Body Press, Acid Armor, or Shell Armor. My apology about that, but we have Shell Armor, we have Gooey on the team, and those are potentially probably the most dangerous of the group. You can also get resistance or whatever. It can run physical, it can run special, it can run anything, and basically it's probably the most versatile Pokemon, even for being so tanky and bulky. And then we get to our first Terra Captain. Sure, I've forgotten to do the little things, but we got Kilowattrel. Kilowattrel has Terra Electric, Water, and Fairy. Terra Water is, of course, first defensive niche, and also Terra Fairy is always going to be something juicy to go along with it. Terra Fairy is always one of my favorite things to use because, it obviously gives out spread damage, it gives hurt to any potential threat along with it, and basically it knocks out Pokemon that you think that it cannot knock out, like Roaring Moon. And I really do think that this Pokemon could be really threatening with its Terras. And finally, we got Enhydra. Enhydra female can baton pass. It can also do something the same as the male, which does is You can sacrifice yourself a healing wish. You can do a lot of stuff. Female is probably something more useful since it has pivoting moves like Baton Pass, but I do see male could do some work with some more offensive capabilities. And we get into our second Terra Captain of Fighting, Steel, and Normal with Hariyama. So, according to Maki, according to the other ones, they said, oh, it's just Terra Normal for Fake Out. Actually, the reason why Terra Normal is there is, yeah, maybe that, but of course for Guts Facade. That's the number one reason why I have Terra Normal, is in case Terra Normal can definitely do some hurt. I was debating on Terra Fairy or Terra Normal, just so I could see if I could do some hurt with it. And finally, we get to our final Terra Captain in Venomoth. Venomoth is a very threatening Pokemon, having Terra Bug, Terra Ground, and Terra Water. Terra Water specifically for fire resistance and other resistances. Terra Ground is always going to be a great offensive Pokemon for a Quiver Dancer. Having Tinted Lens to give resistances to give non-resistance some way of trying to, it gives resistances and not basically becoming a dead zone. So steel types can be useless, fire types can be useless with Bug Buzz, or even Slush Bomb with ghost types. But Terra Bug is always a deadly combination with it. And then we finally get to Florges. Florges is probably my favorite Pokemon. Having Wish Pass, having this, it is really good alongside it. But I really do see, Florges having, Moonblast or Grass Knot for even a potential Dondozo or a heavier water type. Or even better yet, having having Recovery and Synthesis, or even Giga Drain, or even Baton Pass, or even Wish. But this Pokemon is probably a great support Pokemon, and also going to do some great things alongside whenever I go against multiple opponents at a time. This is probably an easy bring for many fights I have to go with. But yeah, having this Pokemon team, I do think, I'm going the Poke-Aim route and say, you know what, screw Hazard, screw the Hazards, we're going to overwhelm you with defense or offense or whatever, and we're going to overwhelm you before you even try to Hazard stack. We have our own Hazards, but if you want to start Hazard stacking against us, I mean, it is what it is. You want to take it, we give it. But, for some matchups, it will be hurtful, and we might have to do boots. But I really do think we don't need boots enough to where we could be absolutely desperate for it. But yeah, this is the Memphis Grizzlies for the first season we're gonna do of the CDC, and I guess this is gonna be some fun. We're gonna have lots of fun with it. Our first opponent will be Ditto, and shout out to Gimby if you see my editor. He does all the magic while I do all the recording. So shout outs to him. Shout outs to all the work he does. And you know what? I mean, we're going to start up our first draft league coming up soon. First draft league battle. Let's get it, baby. Well, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you check out for more draft league content like this. And make sure you catch up on the draft leagues that's going on right now. And guess what? Bandito out.